Daniel Hale did not like stations that felt too quiet. Silence in space was normal. But the kind of silence inside this research station was different. It was the kind that made a person hear their own thoughts too clearly. It made small sounds, boots on metal, fans turning, a door seal clicking, feel louder than they should. Daniel kept his focus on work because work was simple. A damaged relay did not judge him. A misaligned valve did not ask personal questions. The station was called Kepler Drift Station, a mixed-species research outpost that floated above a blue gas giant. From the viewing ring, you could see the planet like a huge marble, bands of light and dark twisting around it. Sometimes storms rolled like slow, silent explosions. Daniel had seen it 100 times, but he still avoided the viewing ring. Beauty could make people careless. He walked down corridor E7 with a tool bag in one hand and a small tablet in the other. The station lights were in late cycle, dimmer than usual, tinted slightly gold to help the human crew sleep. For most aliens, the light settings did not matter. For humans, the station tried to act like a fake home. Daniel passed a window where a maintenance drone floated outside, its little thrusters blinking. It looked peaceful out there. In here, the air was full of quiet tension. Humans had only joined the Galactic Assembly a few years ago. Most species still looked at them as if they were a strange animal that had learned to talk. Daniel did not care about politics. He cared about power, pressure, heat, and timing. He reached a sealed door marked Observation Wing 3A. The access panel flashed yellow, warning, "Environmental systems, unstable." That was why he was here. The observation wing was used by visiting scientists to monitor space weather, magnetic fields, and strange cosmic signals. It was also where people liked to sit and think, which meant it attracted the kind of trouble Daniel avoided. He tapped his badge and the door slid open with a soft hiss. The air inside felt colder, and the lights flickered once. The corridor beyond was narrow, lined with equipment cabinets and thick insulated cables. Daniel's boots clicked softly as he moved, already listening for the sound of a fan or pump that was struggling. Halfway down the corridor, he noticed someone standing near a wall console. She was not human. She was tall, but not in a threatening way. Her body shape was slim and smooth, with long arms and delicate hands. Her skin had a soft, pale tone that reminded Daniel of pearlstone, and faint patterns flowed across her neck and cheeks like quiet ripples on water. Her eyes were large, dark, and reflective. She wore a simple station coat that had been adjusted for her species, and a small translator collar rested against her throat. Daniel recognized the species right away. Lyrae. They were known for being calm, careful, and emotionally aware, whatever that meant. Some people said the Lyrae could sense feelings the way humans sensed heat. Daniel never knew if that was true or just a rumor that humans liked to repeat. The alien turned as he approached, and her gaze fixed on him like she had been waiting. "Engineer Daniel Hale," her caller said in a clear, gentle voice. The translator gave her words a human rhythm, but her tone carried a soft, musical quality. Daniel slowed. "Yes? You are assigned to repair the environmental grid in this wing." "That's right," he said, keeping his voice neutral. "This area is unstable. You shouldn't be here." She blinked once, slow and unbothered. "I am here because the instability affects my work." Daniel looked past her toward the room beyond the corridor. One of the observation chambers was open, its inner lights low. He could see the faint glow of scanning equipment and the outline of a curved window that faced space. "What work?" he asked. "I am observing the gas giant's upper storms," she said. "The electromagnetic shifts are unusual today." Daniel nodded without interest. "Then you should relocate to a stable wing?" Her head tilted slightly. The gesture looked like curiosity. "Relocate," she repeated as if tasting the word. "Your species moves away when things become uncertain." We move away from danger, Daniel corrected. She stepped closer by a small amount. Not aggressive, just closer. It made Daniel's shoulders tighten. Danger is a useful word, she said. Your definition is strong. For Lyrai, danger is often emotional. Daniel kept his eyes on the wall console she had been using. The readouts showed oxygen and temperature in yellow. Not terrible yet, but trending wrong. I'm going to work, he said. Please give me space. She paused, then moved a half step back, but not much. Space, she repeated again. Yes, humans are careful with space. Daniel crouched and opened a lower panel. Cold air pushed against his face. A duct fan in the wall was running too fast, whining like it was trying to escape. Your name? Daniel asked, mostly because he needed to address her if she kept hovering. Aya, she said. Researcher Aselin. Daniel nodded once. Okay.
Aya, you should go to the main corridor. If this wing locks down, you might get trapped.
Aya's eyes stayed on him. If this wing locks down, you will also be trapped. Daniel did not answer. He used a small scanner to check the fan motor. Heat was building in the bearings that could trigger a safety shutdown, which could lock the wing and isolate it until the system stabilized. If that happened at the wrong moment, people inside could be stuck without proper temperature control. He pulled a compact tool from his bag and began to loosen the panel bolts. Aya watched. She did not fidget, did not show impatience. It was almost unsettling. After a minute, she spoke again. You have repaired many systems on this station. Daniel grunted. That's my job. Your work is quiet, she said, but it changes many lives. Daniel paused, then continued. Everything changes lives if it keeps the station running. Aya's gaze shifted to his hands. Your hands are steady. Daniel did not know what to do with that comment, so he ignored it. He slid the panel open further and found the problem. A relay module had burned at the edges, likely from a power surge. He removed it carefully and examined the connectors. The damage was recent. Too recent. The station had been having strange microsurges all week. The main power team claimed it was normal fluctuations, but Daniel did not like patterns that were brushed off. He held the module up and took a photo for records. This relay is cooked, he said out loud, partly to himself. Aya leaned closer to look. She leaned so close Daniel could feel the warmth of her body near his shoulder. His spine stiffened. He shifted slightly away. Aya blinked again. You move away, she observed. Daniel exhaled slowly. Personal space, he said, keeping his voice calm. Humans need it. Need, Aya repeated. Is it a biological need? It's comfort. Safety, Aya considered that. For Lyrai, closeness is comfort. Daniel held the burned relay and placed it in a sealed bag. Different cultures, he said. Yes, Aya said. That is why I study. Daniel pulled a new relay from his tool bag and aligned it with the connectors. He was careful, slow, precise. A bad connection could arc and ruin the replacement. The lights flickered again. Daniel froze. His eyes snapped to the overhead panel. The dim gold lights pulsed once, then stabilized. His tablet beeped, and a warning icon appeared. Voltage spike, the tablet announced. Daniel's jaw tightened. That was not good. Aya's head turned toward the observation room window, as if she could feel something outside. It is happening again, she said. Daniel tapped the screen, pulling up the wing's power graph. The spike was sharp, like a needle. The station system responded by shifting load away from this wing, which meant less stable climate control. The temperature readout dipped another fraction. "Okay," Daniel muttered. "We fix one thing at a time." He finished securing the new relay, closed the panel, and stood. He stretched his neck once, then looked at Aya. "Do you have any equipment running heavy load?" he asked. Aya shook her head.
"No, my tools are past it."
They listened. Daniel nodded and started toward the next panel farther down the corridor.
"Then the surge is from the main grid."
Aya followed him. Daniel did not tell her not to again. He could not control where she walked, and arguing would waste time. He just wanted her to stay out of the way. He opened another panel and found a second relay that was warm, overworked, not burned yet. He began rerouting the load, balancing the circuit manually. It was slow, tedious work, the kind he liked because it required focus and left no room for messy thoughts. While he worked, Aya spoke softly. "Engineer Hale, you do not speak much." Daniel kept his eyes on the wires. "I speak when I need to." "Is it tiring to speak?" Aya asked.
"No.
"Then why do you avoid it?" she asked. Daniel paused, just for a second. He could hear the cooling fan behind the panel, still whining. He did not like questions. Questions made him feel like he was being pulled into a story he did not choose. "I'm here to do maintenance," he said. "Not to talk." Aya's expression did not change, but her voice softened. "Talking is also maintenance." Daniel almost laughed, but it did not come out. Instead, he said, "That's not how humans see it." Aya leaned against the wall, watching. "Many humans on this station appear lonely," she said. "They speak loudly when together, but they carry silence inside." Daniel's hand tightened on a wire clamp.
"We're fine." Aya made a small sound that the translator did not turn into words.
It might have been a lyre sign of doubt. "Humans say fine, often," she said. "It seems to mean many things." Daniel slid the clamp into place. "Okay," he said, trying a different word. "We are okay?" Aya nodded once, satisfied, as if she had collected useful data. Then the station alarm chirped. Not the loud emergency alarm, but the internal 1-3 short tones, meaning local lock preparation. Daniel's tablet flashed, "Observation Wing 3A, barrier lock in 90 seconds. His stomach dropped. "No," he muttered. He stood quickly, scanning the corridor. "We're leaving," he said firmly. Aya straightened at once. "Yes." Daniel moved fast, almost jogging. Aya walked smoothly beside him, not panicking. That calmness annoyed him, but he also felt a strange relief. Panic was contagious. Calm could be too. They reached the main door. Daniel slapped his badge against the panel. The panel flashed red. "Lock sequence active," it announced. Daniel's heartbeat jumped. He tried again. Red. "Override requires command authorization," the panel said. Daniel swore under his breath. Quietly, not loud enough to trigger the station's language filters. Aya watched him. "We are trapped," she said simply. "Temporarily," Daniel snapped, then forced himself to breathe. Anger would not help. He looked back down the corridor. The air felt colder already. In another minute, the wing barriers would seal completely, isolating them from the rest of the station until the system decided it was safe again. It could be 10 minutes. It could be hours. If the surges kept happening, Daniel pulled up the panel interface on his tablet and tried to access the wing controls. Connection denied. "Local systems offline," the tablet warned. Daniel's jaw clenched. "Of course." Aya walked past him toward the observation room. "This room has independent climate buffers," she said. "It will remain stable longer than the corridor." Daniel hesitated. She was right. The observation room was designed for long sessions. It had better insulation, emergency heat, and backup oxygen. Fine, he said. We go there. They moved into the chamber. The door slid shut behind them with a soft hiss. Inside, the room was wide and curved, with a large window that faced space. Stars scattered across the dark like white sparks. The gas giant filled half the view, its swirling bands slow and endless. Daniel tried not to stare too long. It made him feel small. But the room's lights were dim, cool white now, not gold. A low hum came from the observation equipment. Several slim sensor towers stood near the window, and a console displayed graphs that Daniel could not read at a glance. Aya stepped to the console and tapped it gently. My readings are still active, she said. Daniel walked to a wall panel and checked the emergency status. Temperature dropping, he said. Not fast, but steady. Aya turned to him. Aya, how long until you are uncomfortable? Daniel frowned. Humans can handle cold for a while. Aya's gaze stayed on him. But your body will spend energy. So, Daniel said. Aya approached him again. Too close again. Daniel leaned back slightly without thinking. Aya noticed. Space, she said softly. Yes. Daniel exhaled. Look, Aya, I don't want to. Daniel hesitated before finishing his sentence. He did not want to sound rude, but he also did not want to pretend he felt comfortable with things that clearly felt strange to him. I don't want to make this awkward, he finally said, choosing his words carefully. We usually keep distance, especially with people we don't know well. Aya listened without interruption. Her expression stayed calm, and the faint patterns along her neck shifted slowly, almost like soft waves moving across water. I understand, she said after a moment. For Lirai, distance feels like rejection. But I am learning that humans do not mean rejection when they move away. Daniel nodded once, relieved that she understood. The room grew quieter as the systems adjusted to low power mode. The hum of machinery softened, and a gentle vibration traveled through the floor. Outside the window, the blue gas giant rolled slowly beneath them, its storms glowing faintly. Daniel checked the wall panel again. Barrier lock complete, he muttered. We're officially stuck. Aya moved to a curved seat near the window and sat down gracefully. She folded her hands together and watched the planet. Daniel stayed near the wall, scanning system readings, calculating how long they might be here. The temperature dropped another degree. He noticed it first in his fingers. The metal of his tools felt colder against his skin. Aya spoke again after a long silence. You focus on solving problems even when you cannot change the situation immediately. Daniel shrugged. Keeps my brain busy. Does it help with emotions? She asked. He paused. Sometimes. Aya nodded slowly, as if she had expected that answer. Daniel walked toward the observation console and sat down at a distance from her. He adjusted the screen, pulling up environmental data for the room. Emergency heat is active, he said. But power input is low. The station must be diverting energy somewhere else. Aya turned slightly toward him. You said earlier that the surges felt wrong. Daniel glanced at her.
Yeah, they're not random. Something's causing them. Aya tilted her head.
External? Maybe, he said. Or a system failure somewhere deep in the station. Aya studied him for a moment, then returned her gaze to the window. Humans often trust their intuition, yes? Daniel thought about that. Some do. You seem to, she said. He did not answer right away. He remembered other missions, other moments when his instincts had told him something was off long before data confirmed it. Sometimes he was right. Sometimes he wished he had been wrong. The temperature dropped again. Aya noticed him rubbing his hands together. She stood and walked toward a storage cabinet on the far wall. Opening it, she removed a thin thermal blanket designed for emergencies. She held it out to him. Daniel hesitated but accepted it. Thanks. Aya sat again, this time slightly closer than before, but not close enough to make him uncomfortable. She watched how he wrapped the blanket around his shoulders. For Lirai, she said gently, sharing warmth is natural. We do not think of it as personal or private. Daniel nodded, slowly. I remember you saying that. Aya leaned back and looked at the ceiling lights. When my people were young, our world was very cold. Survival meant staying close together. Over time, closeness became connected to trust and safety. It calms our nervous systems. Daniel adjusted the blanket. Humans are kind of the opposite. Too much closeness with strangers can feel unsafe. Aya smiled faintly. Your species learned survival through independence. Something like that, Daniel said. Another silence settled between them. It was not uncomfortable this time, just quiet. After a while, Aya spoke again. Engineer Hale, may I ask a personal question? Daniel sighed softly. You're going to ask anyway, aren't you? Her eyes brightened slightly. Yes. He nodded. Go ahead. You avoid connection, she said simply. Why? Daniel looked down at the console, watching numbers shift slowly. He did not like talking about his past. He preferred to leave it behind, like a closed door. But Aya waited patiently, not pushing, just present. I used to work on exploration teams, he said finally. Long-range missions. Things went wrong once. People I cared about didn't make it back. Aya's expression softened, but she did not interrupt. After that, Daniel continued, I realized it's easier to focus on systems. Machines break, for logical reasons. People, it's more complicated. Aya nodded slowly. Loss creates distance. Yeah, Daniel said quietly. The lights flickered again. Daniel's head snapped toward the ceiling. Another surge. He stood quickly and checked the console. The graph spiked sharply, higher than before. Aya moved closer, standing beside him now.
Is it dangerous?
Not yet, Daniel said, scanning data, but it's getting stronger. He tapped commands into the console, trying to access the station network again. Still locked out. Outside the window, faint ripples of light moved across the gas giant's atmosphere, like reflections of invisible waves. Aya stared at it. The energy pattern is changing, she said. It feels intentional. Daniel glanced at her. Feels? She nodded. Lirai perceives certain energy shifts emotionally. I cannot explain it perfectly. Daniel frowned, but did not dismiss her words. If it's intentional, that means something is generating it. Aya's eyes widened slightly. An approaching vessel? Daniel did not answer right away, but the thought formed clearly in his mind. He turned back to the console, trying to isolate external readings. The sensors flickered with interference, but faint signals appeared beyond the noise. Something's out there, he said quietly. Aya watched him closely. You are certain, not completely, he said, but enough to worry. The room grew colder again. Aya noticed Daniel's shoulders tightening beneath the blanket. Without thinking too much, she stepped closer and sat beside him, not touching, but close enough that he could feel her warmth. Daniel stiffened at first, then slowly relaxed. You may move away if it causes discomfort, she said gently. He hesitated, then shook his head. It's okay. Aya nodded, satisfied. They sat quietly together, watching the shifting data. Minutes passed. Maybe longer. Daniel felt his breathing slow. The warmth beside him helped more than he expected. He did not fully understand why, but he did not question it. Aya spoke softly. You are adapting. Daniel gave a small half smile. Maybe, Another surge hit. This time the lights dimmed sharply, and the console screens flickered. Aya instinctively reached out, her hand resting lightly against his arm. The contact was gentle, almost cautious. Daniel froze for a moment, surprised by how natural it felt. Not forced, not strange, just grounding. He did not pull away. Outside the window, a faint shape appeared against the stars, dark and massive, barely visible. Daniel leaned forward. What is that? Aya followed his gaze. The patterns on her skin brightened slightly, reacting to her emotions. The shape grew clearer as it moved slowly into view. It was enormous, far larger than any ship Daniel had seen before. Its surface glowed faintly with shifting lines of light, almost like living circuitry. Daniel's heart raced. "That's not in the station logs," he said. Aya's voice lowered. "It feels unfamiliar and curious." The unknown vessel hovered at a distance, silent but powerful. Another energy spike rippled through the station. Daniel swallowed. "Okay, that explains the surges." Aya looked at him. "What will humans do?" Daniel stared at the approaching ship, mind racing. "First, we figure out what it wants?" Aya nodded slowly, her hand still lightly against his arm. For the first time since entering the observation wing, Daniel did not feel alone. And for the first time in a long while, he felt something close to trust forming between two completely different beings, sitting side by side as something unknown approached through the stars. Daniel stared at the unknown vessel, unable to look away. It moved slowly, almost carefully, as if it did not want to alarm anyone. Its shape was difficult to understand. There were no clear edges like human ships, no visible engines or familiar structures. Instead, it looked like a long, flowing form made of layered plates that shifted and adjusted while it traveled through space. Soft lines of light moved across its surface like breathing. Aya watched silently beside him. The faint glow on her skin grew brighter, reacting to whatever emotions she felt. "It does not feel aggressive," she said quietly. Daniel kept his eyes on the sensors. "Let's hope you're right." Another energy wave passed through the station. The lights dimmed, then stabilized again. The console beeped softly as new data appeared. Daniel leaned forward, typing commands quickly. "The ship is emitting energy pulses. Not weapons, I think. More like scanning signals." Aya nodded. "Observation before action." Daniel exhaled slowly. "That's good. If they wanted to attack, they probably would have already." He tried to open a communication channel, but the station network was still partially locked due to the barrier isolation. "Come on," he muttered, tapping the console again. "Just give me something." Aya watched him carefully. "You were trying to speak with them." "Yeah," Daniel said. "If we can show we're not a threat, maybe they'll stop draining power from us." Aya tilted her head. "Perhaps they do not understand that their actions cause harm." It made sense. Not every species thought like humans. Outside the window, the massive ship adjusted its position, rotating slightly. New lines of light appeared across its surface, forming patterns that pulsed slowly. Daniel's screen filled with data spikes. He studied the patterns, searching for rhythm. "They're repeating," he said quietly. Aya stepped closer, leaning slightly toward the console. "Like language?" "Maybe," Daniel said. "Or just system cycles." He zoomed in on the signal graph. The pattern was not random. It had structure, like a heartbeat mixed with mathematics. His instincts stirred. Something about it felt intentional. Aya noticed his expression. "You see something?" Daniel nodded slowly. "I think they're not just scanning, they're waiting." "Whoa. For what?" Aya asked. Daniel hesitated. or a response? Silence filled the room again as both of them watched the patterns unfold. Daniel felt the warmth of Aya's presence beside him. Earlier he would have shifted away, but now it felt strangely reassuring. The station around them was quiet, isolated from the rest of the crew, and the unknown vessel hung outside like a silent question. He took a deep breath. Okay, if they want communication, we give them communication. Aya watched him with calm interest. What will you say? Daniel gave a small, humorless smile. First, we figure out how to say it. He began analyzing the signal frequencies. The pulses shifted between low and high ranges, repeating sequences that seemed emotional rather than purely logical. Most alien species communicate with structured logic patterns, he said, but this feels different, less rigid. Aya nodded. Some species use emotional resonance in communication. Daniel raised an eyebrow. That sounds complicated. It is, she admitted, but humans may understand better than others. Daniel paused, surprised. Why humans? Aya looked at him gently. Humans experience strong emotional signals while also thinking logically. You exist between instinct and analysis. Daniel considered that while adjusting the console settings. He began building a simple response signal. Nothing advanced, just a repeating pattern that combined mathematical structure with subtle variations in timing. Aya watched closely. You are creating a greeting. Something like that. Daniel said. Basic, non-threatening. Universal. He transmitted the signal. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Daniel held his breath. Then the unknown vessel responded. The energy pulses changed instantly, becoming softer, slower. The station system stabilized slightly, as if the ship had reduced its energy output. Daniel let out a quiet breath. Okay, that's a good sign. Aya's skin patterns brightened with what looked like relief. They heard you. The response signal appeared on the console, more complex now, layered with patterns Daniel did not fully understand. It's like they're trying to match us, he said. Aya watched carefully. They mirror behavior to learn. Daniel nodded slowly. Yeah, that makes sense. Another thought formed in his mind. What if? He said slowly. They don't understand isolation. Maybe distance looks like hostility to them. Aya turned toward him, eyes wide. That would explain their approach. They came closer to connect. And when the station pulled back power and sealed barriers, they might have thought we were rejecting them. Aya nodded, which caused confusion. Okay, so we need to show openness, not fear. He adjusted the signal again, adding rhythmic variations that suggested calm and welcome. It felt strange, like trying to speak through emotion instead of words. Aya placed her hand lightly on his shoulder. You are doing well, she said softly. Daniel felt warmth spread through his chest. He realized that her presence helped him focus. He felt less alone, less pressured by the responsibility. The ship responded again. This time the energy surge that followed was smaller, more controlled. Station lights stabilized. Daniel smiled faintly. We're making progress. Aya watched him with quiet admiration. Your species adapts quickly. Daniel shrugged. We have to. It's kind of our thing. Outside the window, the unknown vessel shifted closer, but slowly, carefully, as if asking permission. Daniel swallowed. They're moving in. Aya studied the movement. Not aggressive. Curious. Daniel nodded, though tension still filled his body. Curiosity can still be dangerous. Minutes passed as they continued exchanging signals. Each time Daniel adjusted the pattern, the ship responded with more complex sequences. It felt less like talking and more like learning to dance with someone who spoke a different language. Suddenly, the console beeped sharply. Daniel looked down. "Station command trying to reconnect," he said. "Looks like the barrier lock is weakening." Aya smiled slightly.
"You may soon speak to the others." Daniel nodded, but his attention remained on the unknown ship. The next signal from the vessel changed dramatically.
Instead of mathematical patterns, it emitted long waves that felt almost emotional. Aya's breath caught softly. "They are expressing something." "What?" Daniel asked. She closed her eyes briefly, focusing. Not words. Feelings. Curiosity, uncertainty, and relief. Daniel stared at the screen, amazed. "They're relieved?" Aya nodded slowly. "Yes." Daniel felt a strange surge of pride. Humanity had only recently joined the larger galaxy and many species doubted them. Yet here he was, a simple engineer, connecting with something completely unknown. Maybe humans really did have something unique to offer. He transmitted another signal, slower, calmer, almost like a heartbeat. The unknown vessel responded immediately, matching the rhythm. Daniel laughed softly under his breath. "Okay. That's amazing." Aya smiled, gently. "You are building trust." Outside, the massive ship glowed brighter, its patterns shifting into softer colors. For the first time since it appeared, Daniel did not feel fear when looking at it. He felt connection. And somewhere deep inside, he realized that humanity's greatest strength might not be technology or power, but the ability to reach across differences and say, "We are here, and we want to understand." Daniel kept his eyes on the console while the unknown vessel continued to respond to his signals. The patterns between them felt less like random exchanges now, and more like a conversation slowly forming. Each new pulse from the alien ship showed adjustment, learning, and careful intention. The station lights returned to a stable glow. Somewhere beyond the observation room, systems must have regained partial control. The cold air eased slightly, and the emergency heaters began working again. Aya stood beside him, calm but attentive. The soft glow along her skin moved gently, reflecting emotions Daniel was only beginning to understand. "You changed their behavior," she said quietly. Daniel shook his head. "We changed it. You helped me understand how they might feel." Aya tilted her head slightly. "Humans do not always accept help easily." Daniel gave a small smile. "We're learning." A soft chime echoed from the wall panel. "Barrier lock ending," the system announced. Daniel exhaled slowly. "Good. Maybe Command can finally see what's happening." The door to the observation room unlocked with a quiet click, but neither of them moved immediately. Outside, the unknown ship floated closer, its surface glowing in slow waves of light that felt almost peaceful. The station network suddenly reconnected. Daniel's console filled with messages from command staff, system alerts, and sensor feeds. He opened the main communication channel. "Engineer Hale," a voice said quickly. "Report. What is that vessel?" Daniel glanced at Aya before answering. "Unknown origin, not hostile. They were scanning us and reacting to our signals. I believe they're trying to communicate. D, 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 D." The voice hesitated. Trying, or preparing for something else. Daniel looked back at the window. The ship's light pattern shifted into a slower rhythm that matched the signal he had sent earlier. "They're responding to emotional patterns," he said carefully. "If we show aggression, they may misunderstand. We need calm communication." There was silence on the other end for a moment. "Stand by," Command finally replied. The channel muted. Daniel leaned back slightly, feeling tension leave his shoulders. Aya watched him. You spoke with confidence. Daniel shrugged. Sometimes you just have to. The unknown vessel sent another signal. The energy pattern moved across the console like waves across water. Aya studied it carefully. They are asking something. Can you feel what it means? She closed her eyes briefly, focusing. The faint patterns along her skin brightened and flowed faster. Connection? She said softly. They want closer interaction. They do not understand distance. Daniel nodded slowly. That matched his earlier theory. If they evolved with constant proximity, he said, thinking aloud, then isolation might feel like rejection or danger. Aya opened her eyes. Yes, humans stand alone easily. That may confuse them. Daniel tapped commands into the console, creating another signal. This time he added variation, a pattern that suggested welcome, but also boundaries. We can't let them get too close, he said. But we can show them we're not afraid. He transmitted the signal. The alien ship paused its movement. Its lights flickered softly, almost like breathing. Then it stopped advancing completely. Daniel let out a breath he did not realize he had been holding. They're listening. Aya smiled gently. You are teaching them. The station command channel reopened. Engineer Hale, the voice said. Calmer now. We are receiving your signal logs. Continue communication. Diplomatic teams are preparing. Daniel nodded, even though they could not see him. Understood. He muted the channel again and leaned forward, studying the alien vessel with renewed focus. The ship changed shape slightly, sections of its surface folding and unfolding like petals, a smaller cluster detached from the main body, glowing softly. Daniel's eyes widened.
They're deploying something.
Aya watched closely. It does not feel threatening. The smaller cluster floated toward the station slowly, stopping at a safe distance. The console beeped as new data streamed in. Energy signature is stable, Daniel said. No weapon indicators. Aya looked at him. Perhaps a messenger. Daniel swallowed. Maybe. He adjusted the sensors to analyze the object more clearly. It pulsed gently, matching the rhythm of the signals he had been sending. That's deliberate, he said quietly. They're mirroring us again. Aya stepped closer, standing beside him without hesitation. Daniel noticed he no longer felt the urge to move away. Instead, her presence felt natural, steadying. The small object emitted a faint signal. Daniel translated the pattern as best he could. It felt almost like curiosity mixed with anticipation. They want us to respond directly, he said. Aya nodded. Connection requires participation. Daniel hesitated. This moment felt important, not just for him, but for humanity's place among the stars. He created a new signal, slower and clearer than before. He added subtle variations that represented calm trust. The object responded immediately, glowing brighter. Station command broke in again. We are detecting stable communication. Continue. You are authorized to lead initial contact. Daniel blinked. Me? You established communication, the voice replied. You continue. The channel closed. Daniel stared at the console for a moment, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on him. Aya placed her hand lightly on his arm. You are not alone, she said softly. Daniel nodded, drawing strength from her words. Together they continued exchanging signals with the alien vessel. The patterns grew more complex, almost musical, blending emotion and structure. After several exchanges, the alien object projected a field of soft light toward the observation window. It did not touch the glass, just hovered there, shimmering gently. Aya gasped softly. They are showing openness. Daniel felt a strange warmth in his chest. They trust us. He stood slowly, stepping closer to the window. Aya followed, standing beside him. For a moment, both of them simply watched the glowing field outside. It felt peaceful, almost welcoming. Daniel realized something then. Humanity had always been proud of its independence, the ability to survive alone, to endure harsh conditions without support. But maybe the true strength of humans was not isolation. Maybe it was the ability to choose connection, even after loss. He turned back to the console and transmitted one final signal, a simple pattern that represented shared presence. The alien vessel responded with a bright wave of light that spread across its surface. The energy drain on the station stopped completely. Systems stabilized. Alarms fell silent. Daniel let out a long breath. Aya smiled gently. You showed them how humans connect. Daniel shook his head. We showed them. She tilted her head slightly. Yes. Together, the small alien object slowly retreated toward the larger vessel, as if satisfied. Outside, the massive ship began drifting away from the station, its lights glowing in slow, calm rhythms. They're leaving, Daniel said quietly. Aya nodded, not leaving forever, only giving space. Daniel laughed softly.
Funny. Space is exactly what humans need sometimes.
Aya looked at him with warmth. And sometimes humans need closeness too. Daniel felt himself smile in a way he had not for a long time. They stood side by side, watching the alien vessel disappear into the distance. For the first time since joining the station, Daniel felt something shift inside him. The loneliness he carried felt lighter, replaced by the quiet understanding that connection did not erase independence. It strengthened it. As the stars returned to their normal silence, Daniel realized that humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy was not power or knowledge, but the ability to bridge differences and turn fear into understanding. And as Aya stood close beside him, he understood that sometimes the smallest moments of trust could change everything.